My name is Norman Branch. I am the Executive Director, CEO, founder of Positive People Association. It's a community development organization that promotes education and health using interactive multimedia and theater arts. We serve as an intervention and prevention program to at-risk youth and young adults. So we cater to youth K through 12, as well as adults 18 to 24 when it comes to career building skills. I'm a graduate from Marshall University. Also, in my community, I serve on a few boards, the Neighboring Initiative Charitable Trust board. I serve with a few other organizations that I collaborate with, All Here Together Productions. I'm involved with, I was a youth football coach for over 10 years at the Douglas Kamak. I'm an official, basketball official. I also am a certified personal trainer through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So I do training. I guess I'm involved in it quite a bit sometimes when I think about it. Like as far as a leader, respectfully of a lot of leaders before me, Dr. Carter, Phil Carter, Dave Harris, Pastor Samuel Moore, Pastor Johnson, Bishop Bridey. A lot of people have come to me and asked me to do some things in the community, get active, putting programs back into the community to focus on our youth. So part of the NAACP when it was going on. So just being a part of the community, Fairfield West community, the Huntington community, and the Tri-State community, I try to be a part of it as much as I can be in a positive way, be it we formed Positive People Association. I realized that the COVID-19 pandemic was serious business. I realized that when things started shutting down in not only our country, but around the globe, around the world, I realized when I can actually remember when they stopped the NBA games. I can remember when I was watching the TV and it was like, they're not gonna play the second half of these games. And it was like, because it is COVID-19. Okay. And then it was me turning on CNN and Fox and things like that, because I would stay up with world news and things. And it was like, people were like, President Trump, you need to shut down the country. We need to shut down travel. We need to shut down, and I remember they talked about the Mardi Gras in New Orleans had just happened, and they were talking about how it might be a spreader and how people, were probably affected there, and they started talking about this travel, and they started shutting down airports. They started locking people on cruise boats. So I realized it was serious then. People was running out buying all the toilet tissue up. Taking all the toilet paper. No. But that's when I realized that COVID-19 was serious business. When I hear the words COVID-19, isolation, desperation, uncertainty, fear, faith. Those words are a few that come to mind when I hear COVID-19. I was blessed not to have contracted COVID-19. So as far as anyone I know, yes, my daughter and her husband had got COVID-19. I had some close friends that had COVID-19. Some of the members of a church that I know go to COVID-19. So were they severe? Some were cases that were severe, not so much near death, but they had the symptoms of they couldn't smell, they couldn't taste, they couldn't, the breathing. But I was blessed, my family was blessed, me and my wife and my child, we were blessed. We didn't get COVID-19. I was drinking tea every day. I was drinking orange juice. I was trying to take vitamins. I was trying to do everything I could to prevent just getting a common cold, let alone COVID-19. So now, as an artist, what do you do? What you know what I'm saying? What am I gonna do with this craft? Everything started going virtual. Everything started going kind of virtual. People started doing Zoom meetings and started trying to find a way to still connect with people. So one thing that we did a virtual theater workshop. I got with Stuart Frazier, Black Enterprise out of Charleston, West Virginia. Got with a couple of other theater companies here, Alchemy Theater out of Huntington. We got with a couple people and we created a visual acting workshop via Zoom. So we were able to do things like that. Still not the same as gathering in a space and being able to interact. And also one thing that came out of it was the podcast that me and my wife created was the Biz Podcasts. That was one of the things that allowed me to be creative and still talk about social issues, still talk about many different platforms. We talked about entertainment. I actually was able to get some Leah Turley from Marshall, who was in the theater, come in and do an interview. And of course we had PPE, sanitizer, mask. We had to create all that stuff as time went by. You know, still had to stay 6 feet. But I guess to answer your question, to get creative, those are the kind of things that we did. We created workshops, virtual workshops, and we had a podcast that we created, the Biz Podcast. The pandemic created a lot of ideas for us to be able to create the Biz Podcast, to still be able to speak to people. We did it audio, and then we recorded, so we were able to go Facebook Live and YouTube Live and create a lot of ways for people to get some things off their chest.
And actually, the Biz Podcast sparked new platforms for other podcasts that you do.
Yes, the Biz Podcast, when we started doing that, it sparked other people, other creatives. We had Shank, Shooting the Shit with Shank podcast, him and Duke Johnson, Jason, very creative artist. But they did a podcast. Like I said, the kids do a lot of podcasts. They created a podcast where our youth came up with What's Happening Today podcast, where they talked about these topics. They talked about how the pandemic affected them. One way we were creative too, the education of the youth. School became virtual. So they weren't going to school anymore. We work with kids, and we live in an area where they didn't necessarily have access to computers. They didn't necessarily have access to Wi-Fi. They necessarily didn't have access to eating food and lunch. They weren't in school anymore. So we had to keep our doors open for kids to come in and be able to get on the Wi-Fi, be able to do some homework, be able to try to help them stay up to date with their schoolwork, to try to keep a lot of kids from falling behind. In that process, like I said, we allowed them to create their own podcast, their own podcasting. So they had a lot of stuff they had to get off their mind too. But that was one way we had to get creative during the pandemic, was to find a way for kids to be able to keep their mental health, because there was a lot of mental health issues going on during this pandemic when there was isolation and, like I said, desperation. And you gotta realize these kids ain't eating. You don't eat, you can get hungry and you can get, your emotions, your stability is not there. Your stress levels are going up. So we created a way to give out food during this pandemic, food boxes and like I said, lunches to feed the kids and parents. But I just threw that in there. So that was just something that crossed my mind because that was really, really big for me, the kids not being able to go to school. And I seen how that affected these kids coming in here, looking for a meal, also, looking for a way to get their homework done. And at this time, you still got, Lysol, you still got sanitizer, you still got gloves, you still got masks, you still got to protect yourself from these kids coming in and out of here to not catch COVID during this time. I mean, you had to adjust. You had to be thinking on your feet at all times. The word create means to build, develop, form something out of nothing. Or it's hard to say something out of nothing, but that's what being creative is. To look at something, or maybe look at something and create and form something else. Word on the Block, Missy Senate, All Her Together Productions approached me about a way to have an alternative to everything that was going on with the COVID-19 pandemic. The violence that was happening, the fear, the isolation, like we said, all kinds of things. Just how can we come out of the chaos and create something that can tell a story to people about hope and art. Like I said, back to art, being creative, art, being able to create something. The Word on the Block came out of that when we came up with the knowledge, the rhyme, and of course the word. How can we put all this together? And we were able to get with some professors of a college, Marshall University. We were able to get with some artists, MCs, some hip hop artists, and create this dynamic around podcasting, around the word. So we had topics that we felt that people may need to hear, learn, and then the MCs would write about the topics, and then they would spit on the mic about the topics. And we thought that was a real good idea. So we created an event to be outdoors so that people could come and still, because people at this time, we still in the pandemic, and people are scared of, you can't be in a closed space. So we were able to shut off and have, the city and the state shut down 8th Avenue, which was part of that's what Word on the Block. The 8th Avenue Fairfield was the block. This was our block, and we wanted to share this moment. We wanted to share this story on 8th Avenue, man. So it was a really nice, innovative, creative idea to get people to come out, enjoy themselves, and get to hear some art and some creative stuff. So the imagination will be something that influences my creativity because it allows me to be myself and allows me to tell the story from my perspective. That goes with when you're acting on the stage and you're an actor, you have to have an imagination. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Something ain't there, but you need to imagine that it is. You know what I mean? You have to imagine that it's a sunny day, but you don't really see the sun when you're on the stage. You might have to imagine that it's cold. You know what I'm saying? And it really ain't cold. So imagination, man, it's like unlimited. The 3 building mural project, again, was came about as a way to be an alternative to the chaos that was going on with the pandemic. And as some of my students would say when we started doing the 3 Building Mural Project, and it's hope. When you can come outside and you can look at you might be having a bad day and you look up on a wall or a building or whatever, and you see something, it can change your whole day. It can give you inspiration. It can give you hope. Like I said, it can just change your whole day. It can put a smile on your face. When you look up there and you see something that's created in beauty and created, from the heart, it's like, wow, that's pretty dope.
What does the artwork represent?
And the artwork here in the 3 Building Mural Project here in the Fairfield West community of Huntington represents, each building represents kind of its own entity, but it's a collective. So you have Ebenezer Daycare. And on Ebenezer Daycare, they chose a picture of, a child blowing a dandelion, and he's blowing out into the next generation of hopes and wishes and dreams. But inside of that, you also see like the founding leaders and forefathers, of the African American community in Huntington, West Virginia, and likewise. So UFI building that Ursula Hunt is now running Ward, and Ursula Ward, her building is a business. It was a business incubator. So the people that founded that, is on that building. But you have like Memphis, Tennessee Garrett. You have Miss Bunchy Gray on there. You have Michael Thomas. You have, Pastor Samuel Moore on the building. You have Mr. Joe Williams, who was actually the first black mayor of Huntington, West Virginia, on the building. So you have people that were entrepreneurs and businesses. So that's represented on that building. And here on the J.W. Scott Community Center, as we're developing what we want to represent, it's going to represent the community and the diversity of the community that has been here in the Fairfield West community. So that's what those murals are representing: inspiration, hope, and guidance, hopefully.
All right, so the title of this series is called Coping with COVID-19 Through Creativity. Do you have any suggestions for creatives who are pursuing their passions while still trying to navigate through this pandemic?
If I had to make a suggestion to some creatives that were trying to cope through COVID-19, like I said, being creative, right now, use your imagination. Use your imagination and take your ideas and write them down. Pursue them any way possible. Don't give up. Don't stop. Don't let any obstacles get in the way. Don't let any no's, don't let any shut doors deter you from being creative. Do what you have to do, to complete what it is that you want to create.